truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the JohnAge Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the AnomicAge, and I am your humble host, JohnAge, coming at you darn near the dark side of the AM. I'll be taking you into the wee hours of the AM, into the 12, about 12:40ish at this point. It should be 12:30 on the regular this evening. Hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the Old North State, I will be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet. A forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global satanic death cult of pedophiles. Please check out AnomicAge.com. There we go. Now we don't have it. Already making issues. AnomicAge.com. If you can do no more, please like all the likes. Subscribe to all the subscriptions. PayPal.me/AnomicAge. Patreon.com/AnomicAge as well. Please like all those likes. Subscribe to all the subscriptions. If you can do no more, you can do that. iPhone app, Android app, subscribe by email link, and so much more is right there at AnomicAge.com. Whew. I fear that last night we had some technical difficulties. In fact, I know we did. So you can catch the actual audio included version of that right there at AnomicAge.com because it worked just fine on my streams, but not so much on the other streams. So my apologies. Got a lot of thank yous to thank, so here we go. Got to thank John over there at Truckers. Good grief, hold on. At Truckers United for Freedom. Thank you so much, John, for still carrying my voice over there on your broadcast. So you can find me at Truckers United for Freedom most assuredly. So thank you to John for that. So much thanks. I just don't know what to say. Thank you, sir. Also got to thank Eddie over there at, let's interact with it a little bit, shall we? Still getting the hang of some of this newfangled materials. At the Patriots Prayer Network. So thank you so much, Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you so much, John, for giving me the good word over there. Thank you so much, Eddie, for putting up with my questions and putting me on out here. So, thank you all so much for that. All right, enough of all that, right? You want to get into the heart of the matter, to the meat of the matter, to the real deal, Holyfield, of what we're going to get into this evening. We're going to talk a whole lot more about what you expect us to talk about, because after all, what else would we talk about? It's the news du jour. It's the weapon of mass distraction, at least probably for another 48 to 72 hours. So let's delve right into it again. Whew. Cover art courtesy of yours truly. So if you like it, lovely. If you don't, sorry. And we're going to get into the whole shindig, folks. There's so much to get into. I don't know if we're going to have time to actually cover all of it, but we shall indeed try. So, some of the obvious stuff we got to get into. Where are we going to kick things off with? I'm going to kick things off right here because this is where I was discussing last night, and most of you missed it. Actually, before I get ahead of myself, because I really do need to introduce myself to hopefully a brand new audience. Thank you so much, all the listeners out there, for putting up with me last night with the technical difficulties. Patriots Prayer Network. I shall be with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11:30 to 12:30 a.m., taking you into my favorite time, the dark side of the a.m. AnomicAge.com. I am JohnAge. And this program has been going on for about 5 years. So if you're new to the game, go to AnomicAge.com. A plethora of wonderful guests that I've had on over the years. I'm kind of getting back into the swing of guests again. A whole lot of technical difficulties of the not so technical variety going on behind the scenes that kind of prevented me from doing what I like to do with guests. So it's just been me for about a year now. But we'll be getting back to the guests. So please check out those links. Like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions. You can find me on the usual suspect social media platforms. Kicked me off of YouTube completely, lost everything a couple years back, but I'm kind of new back onto YouTube, so feel free to subscribe and of course, like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions, 5-star reviews, and you know how to do it. So, now you know. I'll be sharing much more as we continue to build our relationships and have our semi-weekly conversations here in the Anomic Age. So if you know me at all, you know that I love to get into this kind of stuff. Love to get into the anthropology, the sociology, and also, dare I say, the psychology. So the real deal is deviance, folks. That's what I got into last night. And I even pulled back the one of my favorites, Encyclopedia of Sociology from a la 1974. I love these old books because they just can't redact from what you actually can hold in your hand and tactile touch, don't you know? So the Palantir can't get you. They might just get you with a book burning, but I don't know about that quite yet. So let's get into deviance. Can be defined as behavior that is contrary to the standards of conduct or social expectations of a given group or society. In its widest sense, it is a generic term referring to the activities described in such conventional expressions as cheating, crime, addiction, alcoholism, immorality, and sexual perversion, don't you know? These words connote a departure by individuals from the accepted standards of conduct of a group. So yeah, that's exactly what we got going on. We got a whole lot of deviance going on. Except just as I expressed last night, we don't really call it deviance anymore. We just call it acceptance. We have to accept the deviance. We have to accept those things contrary to the norms, standards, and otherwise of the society. Hence the title of this program, The Anomic Age. So when the standards and norms of a society no longer are congruent with certain individuals, you have a sense of disassociation. No longer accepting the society that you're in anymore. A symptom of anomie. As old Emil Durkheim was talking about, he was referring to that in the guise of suicide and how this sense of anomie can indeed cause sense of suicide. So that's what we see, or I would suggest that we see at large in our society. We have an incongruence in the societal norms and the peoples of the once great society, that once great shining city on a hill. So that's what's going on. And I could even go a little bit further because we're seeing the symptoms of anomie even amongst these and I'm trying to be very kind, nice, gentlemanly, and Christianly to this because I didn't do a good job last night. I'm sorry. I kind of went off the rails a little bit last night and just kind of got not so kind. So I need to reel myself back in occasionally. Even amongst these individuals that have clearly mental disorders, aka the transsituation. Yeah, that clearly some sort of mental illness going on. But it also strikes to the chord of anomie as well because they're no longer congruent with elements of the society either. And often they do commit suicide. Sadly, they also commit suicide with some sort of heinous act of violence in the community, a la what we just witnessed in the last 48 hours in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we'll get into all that and so much more tonight. Tonight, we really seek to decode a little bit of the manifesto. No, I'm not going to read it all to you. I am going to show you at least an excerpt from the video. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to play the idiocy, the dribble, the just infantile, sophomoric ramblings that were in the video. I mean, it's just so idiotic. I don't know if you deserve it or I deserve it either, but let's hit the haze and the hose, shall we? Let's go back into it because this is the gentleman of the hour. And I use that term incorrectly because this jackwagon ain't nothing but but I digress. So this is the guy. I'm not going to call him Robin because that would be playing into the mental illness. As I've often mentioned on this show, when I was a whole lot younger and wasted a whole lot of time downtown, there was a couple bums out there, kind of funny guys, but one of them identified himself as Aloysius and the other Billy Graham. Now, anyone with eyes to see, ears to hear, and even the least little bit of discernment knows very well that was not Billy Graham. No, it was an older bum. And, no one said, hey, Billy Graham. No one fed the fire of mental illness with this gentleman. And we shouldn't do that with Robert either. So it ain't Robin, folks. It gets just ruffles my feathers. All I hear on social media, mainstream, not so mainstream, all sorts of anything in between, is people saying Robin, Robin, Robin. It ain't Robin, folks. Just because he changed his name to Robin don't make it so. It's Robert Paul Westman. That's the guy. It ain't a chick, all right? He might have been going through some sort of transitional period, but come on, folks. You can't BS a BSer, and that ain't Robin. At least not in the sense that I would think of it, you know what I mean? So this is the murdering scumbag that injured 17 and killed 2 children in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the Annunciation Catholic School about 48 hours ago, give or take. So that's this joker. We're going to click on through because we got a lot to do, you know what I mean? We got the mom, Mary Grace Westman. So it came out today that indeed old Robert did go by the skew in the last few months. You think he was casing the joint, or you think he was just visiting mom? Maybe he was giving her some flowers. Maybe he was getting some hair tips on braiding or something. I don't know. But anyway, this is old Mary Grace Westman. But don't let the smile fool you, folks. Please don't be that myopic, moronic, and otherwise dumb. Because now we've learned, as as the Golden Girls once said, it's all starting to ooze out. You know what I mean? And it sure is. So now, old Mary Grace Westman has taken it upon herself to no longer cooperate with the policía. No más hablando con la policía, ne. So old Mary Grace says she ain't talking to the fuzz no more. And she's also taken it upon herself to get an attorney, a defense attorney, you know what I mean? I'm not even suggesting that these two things are necessarily a bad thing. However, I am saying that, if your son's nuttier than a fruitcake, he went in there killing 2 people, injuring 17, you should probably want to cooperate to get this unfortunate individual the kind of help that he needs. To paraphrase or perhaps quote the old Suicidal Tendency song. Oh, man. They were afraid I was going to hurt somebody. They were afraid I was going to hurt myself. All I wanted was a Pepsi. Well, that won't so for old Roberto, now was it? So as the evidence continues to ooze, now we see that old Mary Grace knew about this for quite some time. She actually went ahead and signed off on this name change debacle when he was 17. Still a minor, don't you know? And she, of course, went along with the gag into his transitioning into whatever the entity that he perceives himself to be at present. But wait, there's more, because I want to go back a little bit. We're missing some stuff. We're leaving some gold on the table here. Because also, we've come to find out, understand, and appreciate that old Roberto no longer wanted to be the transistor that he became. No. I don't have the article pulled up. I'll just paraphrase a little bit for you. This came out, I believe it was in the Sun-Times, all kinds of other news publications across the proverbial wires that once were. So now old Roberto apparently is saying, yo, I didn't want to be trans anymore. I messed up. I fell for the brainwashing. I brainwashed myself. Brings me to another old Suicidal Tendency song. Don't bleep with me subliminally. Unfortunately, that great self-titled record from, I believe, 1982 doesn't even begin to explain the sort of insanity that's going on today. They're not just bleeping with you subliminally. They're overtly, covertly, through the cult of pharmakia, through all sorts of propaganda arms, through the Mockingbird media, every single form, fashion, or otherwise of print press, news, streaming service, podcast, MP3, and everything in between. They are projecting what they want you to be. And what they want you to be ain't a person like perhaps you or me. Nay, nay. It's somebody akin to that unfortunate soul you're seeing on the screen there, Roberto, who wants everybody to call him Robin. 28 years old. My gracious goodness sakes life. Can you imagine being a 28-year-old man and looking like some sort of stunt double for the Wendy's chick? Good night, nurse, folks. Have mercy. So, yeah, it oozed out today that he was going on and saying, he didn't want to be trans. He had brainwashed himself. He was sorry. The manifesto goes on to apologize to his mom and dad, his friends, and everybody in between for what he felt he had to do. So we got all that down. But wait, there's more. Because surprise, surprise, surprise. Cue the Gomer Pyle, folks. We got a CIA connection with the parents. I mean, it's unbelievable. I can't believe it. It's just like Columbine all over again. It's just like the alleged event at Sandy Hook all over again. It's just like all over again, we have deep state connections. And by deep state, I really just mean alphabet soup agencies, folks. Handprints all over it. This is El Padre de Roberto. Yeah, this joker. James Westman. Have mercy. His main claim, or I guess employment, was working at ESRI. What is ESRI, John? It's a GIS organization that does a whole lot of work with CIA, FBI, NSA. You guessed it. He's a government contractor for the alphabet soup agencies. Yeah, he's doing a little GIS work here, there, and everywhere and in between so that, he's working as a contractor for these various alphabet soup agencies. Does that surprise you? Because if you even have like a cursory knowledge of the Columbine situation, in many instances, the granddaddy of them all, this popped off when I believe I was just out of high school, if not still in it. I can't recall. I believe I was still in it, to be exact there. But nevertheless, I don't buy the traditional story of the Columbine situation for one bit in the world, and you shouldn't either. If you really look into that, you should see all the cues or the clues, because I don't want people to think this is some sort of asinine cue drop. Have mercy. But the clues are far more accurate than the cues. The clues to the Columbine scenario would be much like we're seeing here with Roberto. Yeah, his parents were definitely connected to all sorts of alphabet soup agencies, just like the whole Sandy Hook region is about as alphabet soup as you can get without being in Langley, Virginia. But I digress. So Columbine, you had different shooters on the scene. You had students saying, hey, there was these guys in army fatigues taking shots everywhere inside the building. What? Yeah, there was ammo that didn't match Dylan Klebold or his cohort there. Eric Harris. Sorry, I was blanking. I had to look at the notes there. So, yeah, Dad's a contractor for ESRI, GSI, work for all the alphabet soup agencies. Nothing to see here. I mean, that's just, why would anyone question these just obvious things? I mean, such a beautiful thing, Perhaps I should pace myself. I'm usually cutting these to about an hour, so I get a little worked up. But now I've got a whole hour to hang out. So that's Dear Old Dad. And in case you missed it, the scrub was in just almost instantly. Somehow, the not-so-mainstream media, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit too, somehow the not-so-mainstream media was able to actually factually get ahead of the curve from the legacy media, the Mockingbird Press, and got out all this information. And I think it sort of curbed the narrative just a little bit. Curb the narrative just a little bit. Let me put this back on the screen. I'm dying to see my own graphics sometimes. But what they weren't able to scrub was initially they had photographs, and I believe AJ covered this on InfoWars. They had photographs of the parents' home, which actually showed their proud support of BLM. Whoo, goody, goody gumdrop. And then a day later, it was fuzzed out. They had redacted the sign, the BLM sign in the front yard. They had just did a little Photoshop blur, maybe a little redaction, so you could not see that that the parents of Roberto were in fact supporters of the communist ilk. Mm-hmm. The satanic death cult of pedophiles out to destroy us all. Yeah, and don't think it's just of the left variety. Oh, please don't be that myopic. It's the right, too. In case you hadn't missed it, two wings of the same bird, same bird. Yeah, I think you're picking up what I'm putting down, or at least I sincerely hope so. So, we've covered Roberto. We've covered Deviants. We've covered Dear Old Mom. We've covered Dear Old Dad. And now it's time to move on. Because I wanted to throw this up there. I actually covered this last night. I covered this last night, and I had another graphic up there that had actually fewer trannies that had committed some of these atrocious acts. So, I wanted to update you tonight, and this still isn't all of them. I mean, that's just like the funniest, and not so funny because this is disgusting, but the funny of this isn't even all of them. I mean, it would be like a 2-page memoir showing you all these individuals. But here's just a few of the individuals. The Uvalde shooter, you remember that one. I covered that extensively. So if you want to go back a little bit at AnomicAge.com and see my extensive coverage, it was like a 4-day extravaganza, much like this one, except actually more in depth of just extracting the day-by-day, blow-by-blow of the nonsense of the Uvalde shooting. But yet again, another transformer, more than meets the eye. Colorado shooter, I mean, just on and on. Nashville shooter. But I pulled the video. I actually showed it yesterday, but the police chief just couldn't see any correlation. Just the police chief there in Minneapolis was just, doing the whole who's on first thing. Hey, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I don't see any commonalities. I don't know. Nothing rings a bell, just some random chick. There, everybody in the whole news, I guess, except me, is saying Robin. Great. Well, call me Hernando Cortez then. Fine. But anyway, yeah, that's just sort of a little bit of a smattering of what we got going on. Covered this last night, but it's well worth repeating because this was a shot from his actual manifesto. So, this was in the video that I don't believe it's in the video clip we're going to play because there was actually so much to the video that they tried to scrub and I guess did successfully scrub, but not before some of the not so mainstream players were able to get this stuff and just super saturate all of social media with it. So I guess the would-be alphabet soup cover agents were not able to modify the record or to, in essence, as they always tried to do, control the narrative, right? A la 9/11, Oklahoma City, Ruby Ridge, Waco, and the like, always controlling the narrative. Couldn't do it this time, I guess, folks. So what we're seeing here is a little diagram. It's even got a north arrow. If you look up there in the upper right, it's got a north arrow, for heaven's sakes. So sick, folks, so sick. Let's zoom in a little bit because somebody's got their glasses on going, I don't know what in the world this is, but I'll tell you what. It's this. And it's got the rows of pews. It's got the cross. It's got the narthex, I guess, out here. And it's got the exits. And as we watch the video in just a little bit, you're going to even see him mention the exits. I'm going to block the exits with 2x4. You know, except it doesn't sound that manly. It sounds like this deranged, simpering, just incel. The whole video is so disgusting to watch. But for me, also just so, yucky. Kind of like going to Barnes & Noble or something. I always just feel yucky. But anyway. So there's that image. And then there's this one. I just pulled this one off of the proverbial social media because it actually, I don't care about what's written up here. I care more about what's written down here. Haunted by those thoughts that do not go away. I know this is wrong, but I can't seem to stop myself. I'm just reading here from his actual manifesto. And over here next to it is another drawing, dibujando del cuaderno, another drawing there where it clearly depicts Robert here with his weapon. And then in the mirror, it appears that old Roberto is indeed gazing into the mirror and saying something not quite right, don't you know? So whether you want to identify that as El Diablo, Demonicos, or any sort of other supernatural entity, hey, perhaps he just had a bad hair day. We just couldn't see it from the back, you know. I don't know. But there's a lot of different ways you can look at this, and I don't know. I'm going to give you sort of several different perspectives that I have on this whole thing, because I think it's easy enough to write this whole thing off very a la satanic panic and say, oh, it's Satan, this guy's possessed. And yeah, okay, it makes sense when you listen to the video, when you just like hear the incel, like simpering nature of the whole thing. It's just so weak and pathetic. Very satanic. So, I mean, when you hear it, you got, okay, it makes sense. It adds up. Or does it? You know, is it one of those things where it's just like the straight up red herring where they want you to think this and just run with that narrative? Or in fact, is it, as usual ops are, a multi-layered attack? You just keep pulling that old scarf out of the pocket and it just keeps coming out. Just like the JFK assassination. It's LBJ, it's the limo driver, it's the mafia, it's the Cubans, it's a lone gunman, it's a triad of gunmen in a triangle. I mean, the whole thing. Just like every quote-unquote conspiracy. Every conspiracy has about 20 different angles, which in essence just leaves everybody chasing their tails and playing the who's on first game again. So, yeah, I would grant you that the satanic side of things makes perfect sense. And as we really delve into the video, it'll probably make more sense. And everybody will probably say, that's it, I tell you, that's it. But I don't know, man. To me, this whole thing seems kind of way too clean, way too cut and dry, way too much obvious evidence. You know, it's like, really? It's like the murder scene and they leave the knife and they leave. It's just like the 9/11 false flag hoax, where it's like, oh, we found the passports. They're the only things that didn't burn up. It's crazy, I tell you. Oh, look, it's just this exact guy. That's who it was. I mean, some of this just means to me that, yeah, it could be legit in the sense that it's just this satanic fruitcake that's 100% on SSRIs, you know, walk down the path of this BS by Mummy, and then probably, and I say this with obviousness, like probably some connection to the CIA, NSA, FBI. I mean, after all, dear old dad didn't exactly work at a convenience store down the street. So it has all the usual suspect fingerprints all over it. Every false flag rollout op. I wouldn't even call some of these false flags because some of these clearly, if people have died, I would call virtually everything we've seen in the last 100 years has been some form or fashion an op. Okay? So I'll just go with it and say that. All right, we got a little bit more to get into, and then I'll actually kind of go in another direction, and we'll actually look at this entire, or at least a good portion of this video. We'll kind of break it down. I won't say frame by frame, but we'll cover kind of him showing you his weapons, which is, again, just so, silly. I mean, the whole thing just, the whole video, the whole manifesto, it all reads like a blipping movie in like the most trite, boring sense of it all. It's like, oh, gee, he's going to sit around and go over all his weapons. Like, who does that? Oh, crazy people, John. They're mentally ill. They're possessed. I got you. Like, no normal person does that, but at the same time, it's just so weak and incel and pathetic. It's like, let me show you all my guns. I'll lay them out on the bed for you, and I'll talk about them in a weird voice. It's just so disgusting. Just so lame. Okay. I promise I'm not going to just continue belittling everything here. Probably should. Okay, so we're going to get into the video of the police chief here. I believe this is the same boob that was simpering all over a coffin. I believe it was the St. George Floyd. You can't forget the Saint part. Or, you know, I guess the ghost of George Floyd will come attack you in the night unless you really kiss the ring of the great George Floyd. So we'll play a little of this video. This is the Minneapolis Mayor, Jacob Fry. I'm setting it up for you a little bit. I know you don't need that, but Jacob Fry. Let's hear a little bit from Jacob, because this is real important stuff in the most hilarious way possible.
All of us. And I have heard about a whole lot of hate that's being directed at our trans community. Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community, other community out there, has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone.
Oh, we
should be operating from a place of love for our kids.
Okay, not operating out of a place of hate. Okay, all right. And I'm trying, again, I really am trying to get there, God. So I feel it. On the one hand, I'm like, okay, not operating out of a place of hate. Okay, all right, I got it, all right. Love for our kids. Okay. But again, he goes on to talk about how, you know, that Minnesota is still a refuge area for the trans community. Already covered that last night with balls making Minnesota a refugee state for trannies or something. Like, what does that even mean? It's so deranged. I mean, the mainstream media would have you think that this was like something out of Birth of a Nation, like crazed heterosexuals on horseback are just like riding through the streets, lynching trannies to and fro and everywhere they go. I mean, what a crock of turds. You know what I mean? But anyway, so you got Jacob Fry there saying, okay, yeah, all right. But again, making the inference as if people are just wrongly persecuting the trans community. Did you miss this? I put this back on the screen for you because somebody missed this. Did you miss this? Did you miss this, Jacob Fry? Were you too overcome with grief at the casket there for St. George Floyd? Did you miss that? Pretty much every mass shooter that we've had in the last few years has been, if not cutting stuff off, stapling stuff on, at least in the pre-cutting stuff off, stapling stuff on frame of mind. I mean, come on, folks. We're just supposed to ignore the obvious, I guess. You know, it's like, not all drunk drivers kill people, so, I mean, it's okay to drink and drive. Some drunk drivers make it home just fine and nothing happens. Okay, sure, but statistically, there does seem to be a pretty big correlative factor between drinking, driving, getting into accidents, harming yourself, harming other people. There does seem to be a correlative factor there. I mean, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say, Jacob Fry? Just thinking out loud here. I mean, that's just me. I mean, then again, I'm probably just being racist or something, or at least genderphobic. I don't know what the bleep. Anyway, so back to that, man. Decoding the operations. Let's jump into decoding the operations a little bit. I hope we actually have time to do this because I actually want to not spend forever just decoding each little segment, but I'm afraid we're going to have to, or at least some of it. So full disclosure, I am not decoding every single symbol, every single element or syllable that is depicted on Robert's weapons. I'm not doing that. Why, you might be asking. I don't speak Russian. Also, I'm not hip, new, and cool with all the meme culture and video game culture and the beta, incel, nonsensical, Gen Z, whatever fruit salad the newest generations are. I'm not hip on any of that. So I don't know some of these things. I have taken a pretty good shot at going through most of these. Most everything that he went Sharpie crazy on his weapons with was just sort of fanboy letters to various other murderers across the last few decades, some of which happen to be Nazis, right-wing, white nationalists, what have you. Definitely some racist terms thrown in there as well. So take that with what you will, and we'll sort of talk about that and so much more here in just a moment. Let me pull this up for you because I'm going to try to really go through in a kind of a painstaking way this video here. All right, let's pull this main screen here. And we'll just start at the beginning. I think I'm going to cut the volume, but we'll just kind of go through it here. All right, let me go back because I'm already getting some cursing here. We ain't even gotten 3 seconds into the video. So let me just go ahead and cut the cursing on out. So there's, it's a tough call because I'd actually like you to get how pathetically lame this whole thing is. Gracious, goodness sakes alive. You know, I'll draw the same analogy I did the other night because it was an old episode of, oh my goodness, old episode of Unsolved Mysteries. I even looked this up because I was going to play you a clip of it, and then I thought better of it because I figured it would get pulled down, but I've got it pulled up here. Stockton Arsonist was the episode, and it was 1989, August 5th, 1989. So you can look that up on your own. But basically that episode was some arsonist kids that were burning homes, I believe, in like a newly built community. And it was the same sort of just like satanic, like groveling Renfield creature sort of speak that we're seeing here. Let me see. I'm not going to play it for you. It'll be too jumbled up. Let's start this over again. We'll mute this guy, or at least try to blip out a lot of the cursing, because I don't want to have my show have cursing on it. I try not to do that at all. Let's hit it.
Where's your fucking God now?
All right, so he says, "Where's your bleeping God now?" That's a direct reference from the Columbine, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. That's where that's coming from. And it's debatable on which of these individuals said this, and even more debatable on who they actually said it to during the Columbine fiasco. So just so you know, that's where that's coming from. Vape God, from what I looked up, that appears to be some sort of reference to some YouTube personality. I'm not going to divulge who that is or even get into it. I don't want to, just disparage other people by connecting to this bozo. So that appears to be what that's all about. Let's play it on now some more. I'm just going to pause it every time we get into something new. Suck on this. Okay. I think we can kind of figure out what that's about. We got another reference there on the mashallah. That's the Arabic word meaning what God has willed. I believe we already missed another word, cyka. That is Russian for female dog. I got these written down, so I'm just sort of putting them all on the screen there for you. Let me get this back to where it needs to be. I think, there we go. That's funny. There we go. That's what I'm trying to get to. Sorry, folks. I'm just going to take myself completely off this screen, and I'm going to show it just like this. See? All right, we got a bunch of names on the back of this magazine here. So on the back of this magazine, we got one of these individuals is the one in the top right there. Arvinu is a Finland school shooter. We got James Holmes. Let me see if I can get a clear image of this for you. We got James Holmes, which is the Aurora shooter. We got Adam Lanza, Sandy Hook shooter. We got, what's the other one there? Roslakova, which is a Crimea shooter. Crimea, sorry. We got Whitman, which is the University of Texas shooter from the 60s. And we got Lapin, who did the Polytech Institute in Montreal. He was a shooter there as well. Let's roll on here. Psycho Killer, that's an obvious song by the Talking Heads. Skibbity D, that is some stupid game that involves some sort of heads coming out of toilets. Again, some sort of incel gamer culture nonsense. That's what we got from that one there. Don't know what the rest of these things mean, so if you do, please fill me in. Change My Stars. That's best I can determine a movie reference. Quite a silly movie. You can look it up if you want to. It's nothing all that dramatic. Bleep everything that you stand for. Okay. Fair enough. What else we got? Scum Gang. That is a reference to a Tekashi 6ix9ine song. Tekashi 6ix9ine definitely... good grief, man. Tekashi 6ix9ine. All kinds of charges for underage activities, we'll say that. The usual suspect stuff with all kinds of drugs and the like. Yeah, it's pretty much what you'd expect, and that's what Scum Gang's all about, just so you know. Moving on.
Yeah.
Por los niños. Yeah. I guess that's self-explanatory. Por los niños, for the children.
Gang.
He's even singing the Scum Gang thing here. Here we go with some more weird incel culture stuff. The tra-la-la-la-la-la mess that you're seeing there, that is Edward, and this is a Russian gentleman, so I know I'm mispronouncing his name. Khil, Khil, Edward Khil, from 1974. This was a Russian performer that does this silly, again, most of this generation's whole life is based on computer memes, stupid video games, and like sending each other these dumb, ironic videos that are silly and old. So that's what that's about, the Tra-la-la-la-la song. Feel free to look that up. It's kind of entertaining, I guess, at the very least. Well, what do we got? Some curse words and some sully graffiti. Big surprise. 6ix9ine, I guess that's for Tekashi 6ix9ine. Kick a Spick. We got a, racist reference to Mexicans or Hispanic folks coming over the border, I guess. Could not figure out what this was all about. So if you want to take a big screen look at this, 666 plus 79418, I do believe, or 9. I'm not seeing it clearly on my screen. I could not figure out what in the world that reference was all about, so maybe you can. I found a couple things that sort of intimated it could be this, could be that. I didn't want to just go out there and say, okay, this is what it is. So, again, if you got some info on that one, shoot it to me. We'll go through this quick, or at least as quick as we can. Oh, the big one. This is the one he talks about for a minute, and he has the word fart and then an expletive there. He's got the word fear written on there. In a minute, you're also going to see that he has looks like a toboggan or maybe some sort of patch on his bag that says fear. I'm guessing that's not really referencing the punk band, which is the punk band Fear. I'm sure he thinks he's being scary and spooky and fury. Just pathetic. That's all I can say. The big, what does that say one more time? Is that the big one or the big omen? I can't remember what it was. Yeah, the big one. Okay, got it. Making sure I got all this down. Have fun. Oh, yeah, super funny and ironic. I love it. F Donald Trump, rip and tear. Sorry, I am obscuring what you're seeing there with the control button there. Rip and tear, great. F Donald Trump, okay, real funny, cool. That's his big magazine. Oh boy, that holds way more rounds than the other ones. He's really proud of it. And then he's got Live, Laugh, and Love on these magazines. He's also got Killer written on the side. Oh, so impressive. Oh, don't worry, he gets Sharpie crazy on his pistola también. Vicky Weaver, that's a reference to Randy Weaver's wife, killed by the ATF. But wait, there's more. Russian stuff I can't read. There is no message. Okay, big surprise. ATTA, not sure what that means. Smiley face on the end of the barrel. Real impressed. He goes on to talk about how this pistol is for himself. If he needs it, he's going to do away with himself if he must. Yeah, real impressive. This one, extra thick Jew gas guy. Barticus, that was the Palm Springs bomber. Palm Springs, California. He blew up a fertility clinic out there. That's what that's about. He's got Jew gas on the end of it, and he's got eat poo-poo on the other end of it. He keeps making a lot of poo-poo references. It's kind of disturbing. I mean, it should be. I hope you're disturbed by all this. Where's Your God Now? Again, written on this pump shotgun. Nuke India, written on this pump shotgun. Self-explanatory. Some things in Russian I can't read. Inverted cross. Release the list. Again, a Trump reference to not releasing the Epstein client list. No remorse. Okay, super impressive. FTW, I think we can figure that out. Israel must fall. Like a phoenix, we will rise from the ashes. He's again giving a wink and a nod to the chaos theory. Star, pain written on the shotgun, easy to understand. Freedom on there too, self-explanatory. Some more stuff in Russian that I can't read. Take this all you and eat. Okay, real impressive. More Russian. Stuff that I don't know. Hatred on the barrel. Kiss it on the barrel. Real impressed. Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward through a little bit of this because we don't have all day to go through every little wink and nod here. Oh, this is a funny, stupid meme. Let me come back to this one. Vivimos en el sociedad. That is Portuguese for we live in the society. It's also a reference to the Joker. More stupid meme culture nonsense. It's Portuguese with a little bit of Spanish. We're in the society. Basically saying that society is not the cause for all this sort of crazy, oh no, it's the individual. Super impressed, right? More Russian. Do you believe in God? That's again the reference to Columbine. Kill pedos. Mírame. More look at me in Spanish. Okay. Well, you're here. Let me see. What did I already miss it where he's got Cayenne Bread is on here as well, which is the username for Adam Lanza. We got Breivik coming up. I believe he's already talked about Breivik. I think I went a little too fast here. Breivik was the Norway white supremacist murderer. We got Robert Bowens, which is the synagogue shooter. Another inverted cross. Yep.
Oh, another one.
Oh, yeah. Same nonsense again. Talking in a stupid voice. He's got a Waco writing on there. He's showing his little fear hat. Super impressive.
Breivik. Genshin. Fuck Niger.
Nigel making a reference to the skateboarder that he alleges has committed some sexual assaults.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Epus, that reference there is some sort of other online personality. Not going to divulge who that is. You can figure it out for yourself if you need to. Destroy HIAS, Hero Immigration Society. Oh, now he's got to show you his belt. Brenton Tarrant, that's the Christchurch shooter. He's got that. I think I already missed that from this video. Let me see if I can fast forward. I know how riveting his belt is.
My shirt.
Oh, yeah, he's got to show you his knife. That's super impressive, buddy.
Yeah.
Big deal.
I got my.
Did he already show you the 2x4? Because that was super fun, wasn't it? Let's see if we can skip back. I guess we already missed the 2x4 showing.
Got my minute.
He's going to dress as law enforcement so he can gain access. He's talking about that. Has he already shown you the 2x4? I'm super excited about that one. Oh, there. He's got to show you the 2x4 because he's got no escape, eat feces again. Yeah. 420 reference. Oh, how ironic. Hell, yeah, that's the one where he's got Brenton. Remove Kebab, anti-Muslim meme, Sol Pais, teen shooter in Colorado. So that's about it, folks. I'm not going to bore you anymore with this because I don't know about you, but this is just silly to me. It's silly in a really morose, disturbing way. So we've kind of given you the rundown. I hope it wasn't too slow for you or too boring. I really just wanted to go through this kind of frame by frame almost and cover everything that was written all over his stuff. Basically, we got a long love letter to all these demented bozos of the past, many of them clearly operatives, several of which were white nationalists and neo-Nazis, and especially those that we were mentioning, the Norway and several of the other ones across the pond. So what it really boils down to is what in the world have we got going on here? I think I intimated this last night. It seems to me like they were kind of setting the stage to make this guy, Robert, some sort of tranny white nationalist, because you see all these sort of anti-Muslim references, anti-Mexican in immigrant references, or illegal immigrant references, if you will. We got anti-Jewish references, and somehow in between all that, we got a lot of anti-Trump stuff as well. So I don't really know what you would frame the thrust of his ideology as being. I mean, I hate to kind of agree with the police chief a little bit, but it's really kind of hard to pick a lane. I mean, if you had to pick a lane, it seems like he is a tranny, alt-right white supremacist. You know, he's got one of them tiki torches, but also he's got a 5 o'clock shower and a dress on. Like, what the? So, I don't know. It's very conspicuous to me that all this just came out, but it didn't come out. It's like they didn't want it to come out, but it still came out. To me, I always I question all sides. So I question, they were just so stupid that they couldn't block this from getting out. But miraculously, all this did get out and to all these alternative media sources. Like, I don't know. The whole thing seemed very, very contrived, very Zapruder film. Like, oh my goodness, he just happened to be on the grassy knoll. And, 10 years later, Geraldo releases the very edited and redacted Zapruder film, So I can't help but kind of think or get that sort of vibe from all this as well. So, yeah, he's definitely showing some anti-Semitism. Oh, God. So I guess Piro's going to be after him, but also anti-immigration, anti-Muslim, anti-Christian. It seems to be like anti-everything. That old Marlon Brando line, what are you rebelling against? What do you got? From the young ones, or I believe Rebel Without a Cause. It's been a while since I've seen any of those. But anyway, that's kind of the thrust that I'm picking up from this whole thing. Very confusing. I think a lot of people are quick to say he's obviously satanic. He's against Christians. And like, okay, true. But it seems like he's also quite against every blip and body else. So at the very least, if we want to just play things real close to the vest, we could just go with the company line and say, he was a really disturbed young man, and he was on SSRIs, and his mom worked for the school and made him into the daughter she never had. Something right out of Slumber Party Massacre. And the dad was up to his ears in deep state, and they probably played a role in this too. We could safely say all that, but I kind of wonder if there's not a little bit lurking beneath the surface here. I don't know. It all just kind of seems way too passports on the bridge to me. But maybe I'm wrong. At the end of the day, the only thing we can take from this, it's yet another tranny shooter, whether this guy was a puppet, whether obviously he was heavily influenced by the bleeped up society that we live in, his parents, the school, the whole 9 yards. I mean, we could easily say that, right? That's not even a big step out on the limb. That's just obvious stuff. But I do have to wonder a little bit, way too convenient to me. Also have to wonder, just like with every one of these cases, he put this video out months ago. This has been on YouTube for a while. This wasn't like something he posted the day before the shooting or anything. So again, I also have to say, I do believe that this can be used. I don't know if it will or not, but I would say that many of these incidences will start to stack up and people will begin to, as always, crave that government protection. Remember? If you want safety and security, we'll put you in prison, that old Eisenhower line. So as always, when enough of these pop up, then the people will grovel to their captors for more captivity. That's exactly what always happens. But I think with this, it can be used much like all the others could be used. It depends on if the mainstream legacy media wants to take it in this direction or not. They could at any point in time. They could start saying, well, look, here's another one that the FBI just didn't have a clue about, just like all the rest. They were just a day late and a dollar short. They were on the radar. They were watching them, but they just slipped right through their fingers. It was just like ocean sand at the beach, So they could make that point as these things continue to pile up, that what we really need is more AI. We need more Palantir. We need more Peter Thiel. The Israeli operative, the gay guy that's really just a front for Israeli Mossad to collect data thanks to the big, beautiful bill on los personas aquí in los Estados Unidos. Yeah. For the people right here in America, could be. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. That's kind of the way it seems to me. Seems like it'll just be another excuse to say, those humans, they just can't cut it anymore. You're just not man enough anymore. Kind of like the old man in Poltergeist 2. You can't protect your family anymore. You're going to need the AI. And what? Look, it's just like a post 9/11 world. We've already got the AI. We've already signed it into the big, beautiful bill. You're funding it with your taxpayer dollars. So we'll couple that with the Barry Soetoro Threat Fusion Centers, and then we'll roll out the AI. And then if you dare say anything disparaging about the lovely folks across the sea, our greatest ally, well, then Palantir will swoop you up, and Judge Pirro will put you in the slammer, or you might just get disappeared to a threat fusion center to be undisclosed. Nobody remembers the black site in Chicago from at least 10 years ago. It was a blip on the radar for about 2 days. Chicago black site. It was run by one of the alphabet soup agencies. And just so happened, it was a black site where they would just scoop you up, disappear you to an undisclosed location. You just be whisked away. And this was news for about 2 days, about 10 years ago. Never heard from it again. But don't worry, because now, not only do we have black sites, I guarantee that you'll never find or see in the mainstream media, between you and me, You've also got the threat fusion centers. Remember those lovely facilities? There's just one in Colorado. I'm sure it's no more. And now we've got Palantir. You remember the golden parachute given to J.D. Vance or whatever he was calling himself at the time when he was working for Palantir? Yeah. Now we got Palantir and we got Peter Thiel collecting all your data. All those little drips, drabs, and so forths and so ons will be collected into this nebulous hellscape to be used against you later in the not-so-quite court of law. So it's a great excuse to say, man, those humans just can't cut it. We're going to have to go AI on us. We're going to have to just let Skynet do what it do. If that means taking out a few people, it's just collateral damage. I mean, after all, we've blown up our birthday party here and there in the Middle East. Why don't we just start doing it here? Because after all, folks, it's for your safety, right? It's all for your safety. 6 feet apart, it's for your safety. Wear this little mask. It's for your safety. Hey, you better take this vaccine. It's for your safety. Or you want to go back in the Wayback Machine to the post 9/11 world, much like the post COVID world. These body scanners just popped out of nowhere. Where'd they come from? I don't know. TSA just popped out overnight. Where'd it come from? I don't know. Where'd all the language, where all these voluminous pages come from in the Patriot Act? I don't know. Just popped up overnight, didn't it? Wouldn't have anything to do with those PNAC documents and the need for a new 9/11, new Pearl Harbor. It's like event tour wouldn't have anything to do with COVID just popping up out of the clear blue sky. Now, wouldn't it? I didn't even cover this. I should have covered this. I don't have time for it today. We'll have to get into it another time. But I should have covered this because for the second time, dear old Trump baby has met with Bill Gates, everybody's favorite, not so quite ready for primetime player of the dictatorial variety. Good old Bill Gates, good old pink sweater, good old blousey, weird loose shirt. I mean, what the? Yeah, the same Bill Gates that's bringing you peel, that's messing up all your produce, the same Bill Gates that's weaponizing mosquitoes, the same Bill Gates that's putting vaccines in floss, the same Bill Gates is buying across the whole lot of farmland here in the United States. The same Bill Gates, the same Bill Gates whose parents were behind Planned Parenthood. That guy. You got to ask yourself, folks. People always make a big deal out of the mundane, or so it seems. But they do not make a big deal out of the slightly covert. You see, we heard all kinds of press releases and oohs and ahs and ringing garments, gnashing of teeth, and everything in between when old Trump baby met with Pooty Poot, Vladimir Putin, And remember in Trump regime 1 when he met with the Rocket Man. Oh, it was just all over the place. It's unbelievable. But then dear old Trump, he meets with, everyone's favorite Microsoft fun boy. It's hardly a whisper. Why, folks? Why would it be hardly a whisper? Because it should be all over the place. Because here's the big newsflash for you. As bad as old Pooty Poot might be, and I don't even think he's all that bad, he's at least on the other side of the Pacific. Oh, he's so close in Alaska. Yeah, okay, whatever. But the real deal, Holyfield, is Captain Pink Sweater. He's right here. He's fouling up here and now. His fingerprints are all over this whole COVID scam. Here and now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, what's worse, the enemy you know or the enemy you don't know? Seems like still, you know, a vast majority of the public's kind of stuck on stupid under the auspice that we're still in the, you know, like the 60s Cold War. Ooh, yeah, Russia's going to get us. Folks, Russia is what we should aspire to be. Hate to be the bearer of obvious bad news for you, perhaps, but, you know, Russia of today looks even better than the Americana 50s of America's yesterday. Jesus Christ, folks. Have you seen like just the video of just random people going to Russia? And we're not even talking about Tucker Carlson and his weird red bracelets. I don't care about Tucker. You can see just random footage of any person in Russia. This ain't propaganda. This isn't like some sort of covert piece of operative. No, this is just random people in Russia. Amazing. You know, their train system is amazing. Their streets are clean. They don't have random despot bleep holes like Kensington Ave in Philadelphia. Or fill in the blank of your favorite despot in any other communist-run bleep hole. It just ain't there. Here's another one for you. Even if it is there, they have the common sense to get it off the street. So I'm not saying, you know, there's some gulag somewhere where there's just a bunch of crackheads or something. Maybe so. But at least they have the good sense to say, hey, there's a place for this, and it's not on Main Street. Same thing with America. We used to have a place for crazy people. It was called the asylum, the mental institutions. Sadly, Reagan took that away from us. Due in no small part to, I can't believe I'm bringing up old Jerry Rivers twice in one show. Jerry Rivers, you might know him as Geraldo Rivera. Yeah, he's about as Spanish as me. But nevertheless, Geraldo. Jerry Rivers, he's the one that broke the story on the asylums that really was, if not the cornerstone, the linchpin, at least a big nudge in the demonization of asylums. And I'm not saying that asylums are good places, that we should aspire to have something like the institutions exposed in the 70s by folks like Jerry and the like, because they were, by all definition, complete bleep holes, folks. Hell on earth. I would never want to even think about that. However, I think we can do better in 2025. I think if we took all the money, no, not even all of it, if we took like a tenth of the money that we've given away to the Ukraine, to Israel, to Africa, to every other third world mess hole in between, if we just took a tenth of that, we could actually have very nice asylums all across the country that look beautiful and are well kept and actually house and protect people with extreme mental problems from infecting the rest of the populace. What a concept, huh? Anyway, I've already overstayed my welcome. I've gone way over time. Apologies. Please check out AnomicAge.com. There it is. I keep hitting the wrong doggone button. My mistake. Check out AnomicAge.com, folks. If you're new to my voice, you can find so much more at AnomicAge.com. Please consider becoming a patron. Buy me a cup of coffee. Donate with the Cash App. It's all right there. iPhone app, Android app, it's all free. So you can listen to me on the go, at the gym, in the car. I don't even know what we're up to number-wise. It says episode 206. That's just with guests. If you go over here and click on the videos, I can't recall what we're up to. Something. 477 is this number of this episode. So please consider doing that. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, shout out to Patriots Prayer Network. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the Anomic Age. As I always close with, you can't do everything, but you can do something. Please get out there, do your part, make a difference. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the Anomic Age. And by sooner, I definitely mean Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good weekend, folks. Be safe out there. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the AnomicAge, a JohnAge project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to AnomicAge.com. That's AnomicAge.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to the AnomicAge.